The power of the tongue. What you speak can make or break life. It is that powerful. A force that should not be played with. Not at all. The power of the tongue. The power of the tongue. Speak it with purpose. Speak with care. Speak as if someone is listening is right there. Then prepare and acting on faith, driven by a knowing without any external showing. Don't be a fool that rattles off anything just for saying. Be conscious, be tactful, for these impassioned filled words have a habit of entering and staying. A mighty force behind it, even if you don't fully comprehend. See, understanding isn't required. You can just pretend. It doesn't factor into the equation. Those chosen words that convert into sound have their own persuasion. A magic force that often gets outcasted, as if it ain't a superhero that's been casted. One to marvel at. It's too easy, too simple is the attack. The power of the tongue is without lack. An abundant sorcerer that wears no cape. A filter perhaps to keep unwanted shit out, or rather in, as the trickling is profound. Encircling the universe, the tongue is metaphorically round. So choose wisely the production of the sound. The power of the tongue. Comments, opinions, and perhaps if you've encountered any experiences where you've said something so impassionately with such conviction, and then it magnified and came true, whether it be positive or negative, because often the negative sometimes is what can come to pass, right? And the reason behind that is because sometimes we start to believe that the bad can happen, whereas good, we feel like it's a far-fetched idea, or no, that's too out there for us to kind of really grasp onto. That how can that good happen to us, where the bad, of course, that's my luck or this or that. So we speak that into existence, right? And speaking it into existence, we've all heard this phrase. It is not just something that people spew off these days, where it's lost a little bit of its luster and meaning. It, in fact, holds such powerful weight if we really break it down. But like I said, because it's been thrown out there like a buzzword, we forget about it. But the power of the tongue, the tongue right there. That was kind of gross. My apologies. But the power of the tongue has that almost invisible force behind it. You know, it is, and I'll kind of go off topic. Well, not really, kind of give you stories where I've felt this in my own life. I've had many stories of my own where I've spoken something and it's come true. But I'm going to give you examples of other people that were close to me in my life where the negative happened, and what conviction. So firstly, my father, he used to always, when he got mad at us, me and my sister, he and my mom, and us three used to kind of be together a lot, because my dad was working really early. Like, he got up 3 a.m. So he was in bed by like 8, 9, right? And we're still up and whatnot. So he used to get really angry at us. And he said, "Oh, when I pass, you'll miss me." And he used to say that with such force. And then he used to also add to that, "I will not pass 50." With such ferocity and intensity and passion. And long story short, 48 and a half years of age, gone. Didn't pass 50. Then a good friend of mine, Jamil, I believe I was 21, actually 22 when he passed, and he was 3 years older. He was 25. It wasn't to me, but I heard through a mutual friend, a good friend of ours. He used to tell her, I have this feeling that I'm going to pass away from something. I'm going to pass away with, and he used to, and she told me the way he spoke it, it was like he was certain. What ends up happening? He gets cancer. He survives that scare, or we think, but then he gets an infection, and that infection ends up taking him out. And I'm not doing these stories justice. There is a whole lot I can unpack, but I wanna showcase just the power of the tongue in this one. And so at 25 years of age, Jamil passes away from that thing that he was certain about, that thing that he kept speaking. And lastly, another sad tale was one of my good cousins. Good cousins. They're all good. But one of my cousins who I hadn't met, but then when I went to India, this was when my pops had passed. I was in dire straits, reeling myself, to be honest. And when we met, it was like a bond, like, oh man, it was like God put us there. It was beautiful. Such a soulful, a man of heart. And we got to speaking, and so backstory on him, his father, my uncle, actually passed away while I was young, and he was out of the country. So his father had gone abroad while he was a young child. He was 2-3 years older than me. So he was still back in India. So his dad had gone abroad. I was there, and I actually found his father unalive in his bed, and then told my mom and everybody in the house. And he must have been no more than 28, 29, maybe 30 at max. So my cousin here, I remember while we were in the car now in India, that present time, and I was speaking about my problems and shedding tears. He also started shedding tears, and he was, I remember him saying to me that I don't know how I can pass a certain age because my dad didn't. And there was no rhyme or reason for it. His dad didn't pass from a certain disease or that is passed down. He just was under the impression of if he couldn't pass that age for whatever reason, that I can't. And I didn't quite understand it at that time because I was reeling myself. But when after he passed motorcycle accident, and he wasn't even the one driving, got hit, died instantly on the spot, and his father passed in his sleep. There was no connection, yet his tongue created one. And that's why I'm getting goosebumps. I mean, that's to the negative, and I've seen a lot of positive stories, but sometimes the negative is what kind of showcases the true power of it. And often we just need to not speak negative, and perhaps life will be good, or at least neutral. But yes, so I remember that vividly. For that month I was there, the way he spoke it was like there's no way that we could bypass this obstacle that he had created with the tongue. The way my dad created it, the way that Jamil created it. However, I have thought about those 3 stories and thought, hey, perhaps, because I'm a very spiritual person, did God give them some insight that we're not privy to? Right? And all three had an essence of that. They were not perfect human beings, that's for sure, but they had their souls had some, how do I say, there was some pure love and consciousness there, a love for people at their very core. Maybe I'm biased, but you get a sense of this, because I know some people, you're like, even though you're close to me, you're not that. There's a feeling. There's the distinctness in all three of them. So, the power of the tongue. And my apologies, I know I've kind of gone all over the map, but the power of the tongue is so real, so strong, so vivid, it should not be taken lightly. I've thought about those three stories for most of my life, and it happened all in my 20s. So, healthy time has lapsed since those three incidences and where I am present day. And all I can say, or all I can take away, is to be weary, or rather, as I said in the spoken word piece, choose wisely the words that you speak, the words that you believe, because those things can have immense effects. Maybe it was God giving them a glimpse and an insight, but let's not take that chance. I hope all of y'all are well. It's been another Rock City the Soul Man exclusive on Pass the Mic, where we speak openly, candidly, giving you spoken word pieces. I'm sorry this one went too long. It was unplanned, unrehearsed. The stories came to my mind and I let them go. So if you stayed with me till this long, much appreciated. As always, it's your boy, Rock City the Soul Man, checking in. Rock City the Soul Man checking out. Like, subscribe, drop some comments, share some experiences. Let's get this going. Let's have a communal connection. And remember, speak beauty and let beauty enter. Peace.